He's in Israel right now.
What?
He's from Israel.
Huh?
Maybe
What?
maybe something else on Sunday.
He goes. He has to pharmacy.
What?
Sometimes he has to go into the pharmacy on Sunday.
He's there. Oh, you know.
Can I have some size?
Good morning. Rabbi Tarfon says, "Hayoim kotzer v'malochem meruba." The day is very short, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. It's a short day, but there's a lot to do in the day. Some people get up extra early to get things done. But the mission also says that there's Bnei Malachim, the sons of kings, that they get up a little later because their work is done for them already. Okay.
Well, we're talking
Well, the Eibush shall help them that every one of us should be one of those Bnei Malachim, that all the gashmistic things that are already done for us, and all that we have to do is to do atazai ruchnis avodah ruchnis. Okay.
But we learned from this week's part that you kept going, good times.
Oh, we'll talk now about something we learned from Yaakov Avinu.
So our work is ongoing.
We'll learn that it was something special. Before I get to Yaakov Avinu, which is this week's parsha, an interesting question that came up this week that had to do with the parsha. Shabbos last week, a woman asked a question. She made a big pot full of Esrog jelly. She said this year she went on Avenue J on Erev Sukkot, and she made sure to buy only Moroccan Esrogim because she heard the problem, Shmita, Israeli Esrogim, what are you going to do? She doesn't want any troubles. And she said, you know what? I'll pay for the Esrogim from Morocco. Good. She bought a bag full of Esrogim. Whatever.
On Erev Sukkot?
Erev Sukkot. No. No. Erev Sukkot. A woman asked me a shayla. Why should I not trust her? She went Erev Sukkot. She said, at the end of the day, you can get very cheap every esrog. It's before Shkia, so the kids are selling it $1 an esrog. So she bought 20 esrogim. She filled up her bag. She was happy, and right after Sukkot, she made her jam. There's a recipe. I was hoping to bring the recipe today to the table, but no, another time. But I could tell you from my hash'ora, I will guesstimate for every esrog there's 3 cups of sugar and a little bit of lemon. What else could there be already in it?
A little bit of sherry, maybe.
Yeah.
Bourbon.
You got the basic recipe. I think this is again. I never made Esog jam. Now that I got the shayla, actually, I want to make Esog jam because I just want to figure out how it works. But this is my hashora of how it works. Okay. Bli neder. I'll try to get the. Oh wow. Shikaya for joining us.
Who's here?
From Eretz Yisrael.
Wow.
Rabbi Shmuel Greenwald.
Oh, wow. Hello, Shmuel. Shalom Aleichem.
Okay. Oh, Yishkoyach. Jetzt ist es gut. Ja. Gemens gemacht Akula lekovet the Chag HaGeula.
Israel is down
Down under. So Shkocha Brotis, you're tuning in now, and the Shaila is about Esrogim from Eretz Yisrael. So a woman asked the Shaila. Probably got Mencha already, yeah. David might have also already.
No, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So she thought she's getting Moroccan Esrogim, and after she finished making the jam, she looked at one of the boxes, and it was an Israeli esrog.
Wow.
It was an Israeli esrog. So now she says she wants to know what to do. Throw it in the garbage, kasha the pot. Throwing in the garbage is the worst thing, by the way.
Yeah.
So she wants to know what to do. Okay. So here's what she needs to do. But first, we need to go back up and understand a few things. There is a discussion about the paytas that grow on a tree in Eretz Yisrael near Shemitah are hefker. It's be'artzach, has to stay in Eretz Yisrael. You're not supposed to take it out to Chutz La'aretz. Now, there is a big discussion how you're allowed to bring out Esrogim from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Among the Achronim, there is at least a dozen kulas of why they should be allowed to. It's a business different, and because it was a chatchila planted for that reason, or there's enough takers in Eretz Yisrael, or because of this is not a regular eating fruit, there's a mitzvah shiny pseidish. This is not today where we want to go. The esrog is already in New York, so the shaila is not. I didn't bring it to New York. Shaila is, am I allowed to go buy such an esrog to use it this year? There are many rabbonim that hold that given all the problems in the year of Shemitah, it's better to buy not an esrog from Eretz Yisrael. There are those Frat Mizrachi rabbonim that the economy of Eretz Yisrael is very precious to them. Kedusha Eretz Yisrael is very precious to them. And the dafka one you should buy Eretz Yisrael. And I'll tell you right before we even go into things, there's two chuvas from in the Igros Moshe where he says, Adarabba, dafka buy from Eretz Yisrael.
Even in the Shemitah year?
Even in the Shemitah year.
Mhm.
And again, he starts off, he's saying, he starts also this tshuva, which I will quote in a minute, saying that it's not your business to figure out the heter to bring it out. It was already brought out. So now your shaila is about buying it. So, okay. So let's move that aside for today. About if the sellers are allowed to bring it to Chutz La'aretz is not our shaila right now. Even if we should buy it or not buy it, is not our shaila. We're already a month after Sukkot. Everyone bought their esrog. If you decided to buy Eretz Yisrael the esrog, not Eretz Yisrael the esrog, that's another discussion. The question right now is just for this woman that wants to know, what do you do with this jelly? What do you do with this jam? And that's what we want to deal with right now. Let's read a little bit inside.
Is there such thing as rove, or would rove here this comes to the picture? If the rove will be addressed.
Don't you had 60 Esrogim? No.
No, but she did have Roy. Sounded. I didn't ask her how many songs.
Well, she said she bought like a bag of
Right.
20.
So it sounded like there was something like 18, 20. I know she makes every year and she gives it out to a lot of people. So I'm just giving a cheshbon. I can't imagine we're talking about 60 Esrogim, but from the question, it sounded like we're dealing with something around 20 Esrogim.
A jelly at that point, or it's not?
Now it's jelly. It's in the pot. It's jelly.
Then maybe rove makes a difference because it's already absorbed.
Well, we'll talk about this.
Thing.
The Gemara says, "Msachim ton rabbanon, peidish yotzem Eretz Yisrael chutz la'aretz." If you take fruits out, Eretz Yisrael chutz la'aretz, mizbanim b'chol makom. You could, you do beer in it in any place on chutz la'aretz. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, no, yachzer l'mekomen, you have to bring it back to Eretz Yisrael, mizbaru, and you have to do beer on it in Eretz Yisrael. Shnema ba'artzacha, it has to be in artzacha. So bottom line, according to Tanakama, is nacholim b'chutz la'aretz ad zman biur v'oz makayim biur b'chutz la'aretz.
What's beer?
Okay, beer is to get rid of it. What does beer mean? Hainu.
You let it rock.
Oh, what does it mean? So I just learn Rambam and Hilchah Shmita v'Yovel means beer means. The pasuk said you could eat it for you ulachaya ulabehemtacha ulachaya shabartzecha. Chazal say that the Torah wants to tell us that as long as the behem and the chaya could eat it, you could eat it. When the behem and chaya can't eat it anymore, you can't eat it. So it's hefker. Anyone could take it, and they could take it home. But there's the time we say that this thing is not on the trees anymore, and if a cow or a deer came over to the tree to look for this fruit, it's not there anymore. So when it's not there on the fruit anymore, so then you also not allowed to eat it. It has to be, everyone is equal. The human and the animals are equal in taking these fruits. At that point, you have to get rid of the fruits. So That's a big discussion. There's sholosh arotzes lebiur, noisen chuvnim makim sheholach misham, chuvnim makim sheyotza misham. Should be very relevant in a few minutes to understand. So you have to know every fruit has a different time. Every fruit has a different time when they're not on the tree anymore. And now you got to get rid of it. So what's the pshat? You have to get rid of it. So the Rambam writes in the beginning of the 7th Perek, he paskins that biur means you, like the Mishnah says, that you could give it machalak mozon shalosh shudas. You give to here, you. What do you want? Here, you have 3 bagels. You give them, and that's not bagels. Fruits can be bagels. Whatever. Here's a basket of a few fruits. You give them as much fruits to eat in 3 meals. If it's husband and wife, you give them 6 for the children. You give out it to all your friends, and the Rambam says the rest you have to burn. The rest you have to burn. The Raiva there, and also the Ramban and Pashas Bahar says no. What the Torah meant, mevaran, meant you bring it out to the Rishus Harabim and you scream that it's hefker. And it has to be real hefker, not some. You really have to take it out to the Rishus Harabim. You declare it's hefker, and you yourself could go later and take it and bring it back in your house. And once you bring it back to your house, you could sit there for a year. It doesn't matter anymore. Okay.
Well, you took from Hefker. You took from even though you made.
Yeah, you took it from hefker, then it's fine.
We'll give an example. What's the apples? Cut off.
So usually by the time with the finished harvesting, that's really when the thing is. So, but the thing is with like apples, is befrat. As I'm not so much in the sugya, but there is. It's not 1 week. It's befrat. There's different types of apples. So from when you start picking your first apple until you pick your last. Yeah, it would be 2 months, 3 months. I understand what you were saying. What's the regular time when
Get rid of everything else.
is to get rid of everything? Yeah, you got to get rid of everything. Everything has a different zman. Every peirik. When does it start? When does it finish? How long does it last? It's a sugya b'fa'atzma each. So today in Eretz Yisrael, all the kitzas farm that have, so they go through all the fruits. What is this man, the last man for each one? So we're going to talk about it in a minute. What's the last man for Esrog? It's also a discussion. What's the last man? It's the whole year on the tree. Some say it doesn't have his man. Okay, but there's a discussion about it. What's this man? So at that point, when this man comes, the Rambam says you got to give it out gimel sudas or burn it. And the Rambam says no, you could just make it hefke and take it back home. Bottom line is that Rambam Hilchah Shmita, the first paragraph in Perek Zayin, Aloch Gimel Paskins like the Tanakama, Chachmas Adam Paskins the way that the Paskin Tanakama. You don't have to bring the fruits back to Eretz Yisrael. You don't have to bring the fruits back to Eretz Yisrael. The problem is there's a Ravid here. That Ravid is a very big man, and Rabbi I didn't think that the Rambam learned the Braisa correctly. Look in the second paragraph. Hey, Elzed Matzina Beravid the Pirusha look Toras Koyanim. The Ravid in his Pirusha Toras Koyanim says that the pshat is also she'oiser ba'achila mechshash shema yachlifu beperetz chutz la'aretz velo yenagu b'kedushos and kedin. That really, when fruit go out from Eretz Yisrael to chutz la'aretz, everyone agrees you're not allowed to eat these fruits. Why? It's really a issa the Rabbanon. The Rabbanon was scared. He's in Eretz Yisrael. That's where the fruits grow. So people are very cognizant that this has to be eaten with the kedusha of Shmita. Come on, chutzlar, it's 1 bag of tangerines, it's 1 bag of avocados. People are not going to realize they'll get mixed up with the other fruits, and then they won't keep the kedusha Shmita on it. So therefore, Chazal said, everyone agrees you can't eat fruits out of Eretz Yisrael. What's the pshat and the machloikis of Tanakam and Shimon ben Elazar? Kavonas of Tanakam rak the mevarim b'sreifa kvura b'chutzlar tim lo yichtzina. Koydem shas abir. Shimon ben Elazar machzin Eretz Yisrael v'serf and sham. Shimon ben Elazar said, everyone agrees. But the Rabboni are not allowed to eat these fruits on chutz la'aretz. Question is, if Shimon ben Elazar says you have to bring it back to Eretz Yisrael, you have to find a friend that's going back to Eretz Yisrael, and if you can't, you got to book yourself a flight with El Al. Go back to Eretz Yisrael, get out in the airport, burn the fruits, you come back to New York. Tanakama says no, you could burn them outside Eretz Yisrael. but for sure you can't eat the fruits. Okay, so now this is the crux of the issue here. So the bottom line is that there are many achraim that say that the halacha is not like that Ivid. I just want to tell you, I'm working maybe Kollel Olam. So I just want to show you. Where is it? Here, I'm working off an article, a beautiful. I mean, I looked in the Rambam and the Gemara. I looked in the Igros Moshe, but there was a Talmud Chochem, Reb Naftali Tzvi Leshkovich, that wrote an article in Hamasifta, which is a Torah journal from Torah Vadas. Huh?
No.
You know? Oh, you should. He writes very nice. You should know this article from all the articles I looked at. He wrote it. I'll tell you. Rishon Zu Shna Tovshin Samach Tes. If I had his email address, I'd send him by Yashikoyach. Oh yeah. Oh, he's terrific. I'm telling you, it's zusammengenommen the Sugya sehr schön. I printed out a few articles. It was mamish. It was beautiful. I'm mentioning it for a few reasons. First of all, maybe you should know that I'm working off this article. Second of all, there's Torah journals that come out all the time. You think like Torah Vadas giving out a Torah journal, like how many copies they print, 2 seasons. The thing is, what happens today is that it ends up it gets uploaded. So I wanted to go through the sugya, right? But I'm not going through the whole sugya with all the Rishonim. I'm not spending a month on the shaila. A woman asked me a shaila to answer. Can't tell her I'll get back in a month. So I go into my Otzach Chochma and I do a search, and then I take down articles. Then I look at 5-6 articles. The article that seems to me the most comprehensive and clear, that's the article I'm gonna use. So here is this guy Naftali Tzvi Leshkovich, a beautiful 10-page article, very, very clear. Brought it down. So you see, I just want to tell you l'schus from Torah journals that I think to myself, like, I print something, but these Torah journals get all uploaded later. And when people do a search, so then this Shabbos, Rabbi Manis Friedman has a son who just moved recently here, and he came. The first comment he made when he walked in Shabbos morning, he said, "Oh, these chairs are very familiar for me because I always watch the shiurim that are uploaded." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, these chairs are so familiar to me." He says, "For years I've been watching the shiurim, and now I feel at home."
He has to bring his brother Benny. That's the key.
Okay. Come make l'chaim with him, but bring him, and then he's a nice guy.
Yeah, great guy. Met him on Shabbos.
You met him Shabbos, very nice.
Sweet guy.
I also met him now the first time. Anyway, so okay, so Bekitzer, he brings that a collection of many Gedolei Poskim of this generation. Let me name 3 of them. The Maril Diskin, which was at Oven Eretz Yisrael, he was called the Brisker of before Chaim Brisk was from Brisk.
Late 1800s.
Late 1800s.
He's the one Diskin.
Right, exactly. It's named for him.
My mother worked there for
Exactly.
55 years.
Exactly. It was named for him. Rabbi Leib Diskin. It was a very, very, everyone loved him. It was Godel Hadoir in Yerushalayim, in the whole world. He was called at the time the Brisker of. And there's a letter from him saying to his Kilo Chutzlar, he moved to Yerushalayim, saying that they could paskin like the Rambam, and also the Chazon Ish, and also the Igros Moshe. So, and he says, and I looked it up. The Igros Moshe has a beautiful chap. He says that Ivid in the Rambam doesn't argue. So why didn't he argue in the Rambam? So probably he changed his mind. When he wrote his Pirush on the Teres Kohanim, he getracht azoi, and then he changed his mind. He passing like the Rambam. So oy bazoi, we could learn like the Rambam and say. So the bottom line is that the most big poskim today that we're following say that no, that Avid is not arguing on the Rambam, and if he is, we're passing like the Rambam, and we're passing like the Tanakama. That the fruits that went into Chutz La'aretz don't have to be burnt, but the time comes, it needs biur. Whenever the time comes, as mana biur, you have to be divided. Okay, so this is a very strong hurdle to pass. So we're passing that you're allowed to, you're not allowed to take out the fruits, but if it did go out, that you're allowed to eat them. Alamai, you have to eat them. Oh, so you have to. Now we have to clarify what's the zman of biur, and what are the basic rules of kedusha shmita that keep. So right now, the first thing is that's very important. It's like whatever happens in chutzlar, it's itself sometimes is opposite. Like when we have a shaila, if you throw it in the garbage, it's great. There's no shaila. I took that and the whole pot and I threw it in the garbage. Okay, kodesh yamaloi. But to say that you took fruits from shmita, I don't know what to do. So I took the whole thing with the pot and threw it in the garbage. That's not an eitzah. If this family wants to be machmer, and I'm not going to say that there's no room to be machmer, the only way to be machmer would be like this: to take the pot and put it in a warm weather. I don't think it's called hefsed biyadayim. You have to put it in the fridge, or they can put it on the counter, or put it,
There's last year.
Oh, so that's the problem. The problem is she made it already into jelly. This thing could last for years. That's why I told you, Lani was dieted. Probably the recipe is, 1 or 2 or 3 cups of sugar per esrog. I'm just saying the way it tastes to me. That's the way it tastes like. So what the sugar is going to do is it's going to make that esrog is not going to. If you put an esrog, it's hard enough for an esrog to spoil as is. After.
They shrink. Okay.
They shrink, but they don't spoil so quick. And even they don't shrink so quick. It takes a month or 2 for it to be nifsa. But now that it's cooked with sugar, so I'll tell you what,
What did she just invite 100 people?
Okay, so this is my next date. Okay, let me finish my first date. If she really wants to be machmir, she'll put it in somewhere in a warm temperature. And I think over there, the bacteria is going to start to grow. And it'll be nifsad. And once it'll be nifsad, you wrap it up, and you can throw it out. Okay. But now let's talk about. Okay, let's not talk about.
You
You can bury it, but it has to be first nirkav. Has to be first nirkav. Can't, because otherwise, hey, you're not allowed to be mafsed paid as shmita. You're not allowed to ruin it.
You're supposed to be beer.
Oh, if it does man be okay. So shaila is what's a zman beer. So let's talk about.
Nothing about Baltashrit here?
It's worse than baltashkas. You're not allowed to. It's la'ochla, lachem la'ochla v'loy lahefset. You have to eat it. The kedusha. When we say kedusha shmita, it doesn't mean you have to go to the mikveh. It doesn't mean that you have to say a kapitel tehillim. It means that you're eating it, just like that you're eating it knowing that it's shmita, and that you're not wasting it. You're not wasting anything. Kedusha. Okay. So what is? So the question is, what is? So here's going to be some of the important questions. First is what's the zman biur? This is by when does it have? By when do you have to get rid of it?
Israeli form of agriculture.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Number one, there's a Minchas Yitzchak that talks about the tshuva of Minchas Yitzchak at Avais. That brings like this. It brings a Gemara in Eidevin that says a esrog is good for 2 sudas. So you have to be machalak if you give people moz and gimel sudas. So there's a svara to say that if the esrog is, it's only 1 esrog, so it's not a big problem. It's already you only have to burn what's more than 3 sudas. The problem is in our case. This heta might not help us so much because it was cooked with another 18 esrogim, another 20 esrogim. Also, the Chazal have this concept of what you eat as a lifton l'seuda. It doesn't have to. There's the bread of a meal, and there's how much you accompany. How much tuna fish would you eat? If you eat, say, you decided you'll eat lunch, bagels and apple. How much apple would you eat? With the bagel, and that's how much. If you eat 1 apple with the bagel, so maz and shalosh, so this is 3 apples. Now, when you eat jam, it's much less. How much? If you have a bagel for lunch, and you say jam, how much jam are you going to put on it? 1, 2.
Spreading.
It's spreading. So maz and gimel sudas. All of a sudden, in a pot, you have here maz and 25 sudas. Maybe you have 60 sudas. You could have much more. So this kula is not going to work right now. To say, oh, it's less than 3 sudas. Okay. The other thing that you could talk about is that they say from Mariel Diskin that the zman of biur of esrog is shvat. Okay.
Is that a Messias, or so that if with modern agriculture in Israel, if they're able to do not shvat, but let's say Nissan. Is it a rule of thumb or the Messias can change?
It's funny when you talk about Metzims. Chazal say the Esog is Dorim Lashona, Alilona Mashana Lashona. But when you go to Israel and you're going to go to any average farm that has Esrogim, this time of the year, there'll be not a single Esrog on the tree. What happens? Before Sukkot, they picked every one of them. They didn't leave even one on the tree.
So if there be no holiday Sukkot, then the Esrogim would stay there longer.
So you have to play a game if there wasn't. But Lapoil, when you go today on the field, you're not going to find. So there's several shittas. There's a tshuva that Moshe says that if you bought your esrog after Rosh Hashanah, the next Rosh Hashanah is the Zman Biur of the esrog. So yeah.
I went once to Eretz Israel.
Yeah.
There is something Kedumim outside of Yerushalayim. There's a place that they found that there was a whole settlement from 2,000 years ago, and there were Esrogim, and the Esrogim were big, like not a watermelon. What they call it? The other ones that look similar, a little bit smaller, yeah, but they were very big.
Like those melons.
Yeah, Neot Kedumim. Yeah, that's a place. So those stayed for many years and they're big. So I saw them. I even brought one to New York at the plane. Nobody stopped me, but yeah. So there is such a thing. Neot Kedumim.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So it could be you have a whole year. Could be you have only the Chamishas B'Shvat. He brings it from an Abelsky that said that today, what happens is a lot of them. What do the farms do? The farms that have Esrogim, the ones that have fruits, a lot of them don't want to bother even. Put up a sign. Here is Shmitta. Take as many fruits as you want. Please don't ruin our irrigation system. Have a nice day. It's unbelievable. It's to me, like take my children there, and I just this year I had the opportunity. And last time was somewhere in Yehuda Shemram. We were driving. It was not such a safe area even. And we saw a sign, big sign. I couldn't pull the car in. We went with the kids. Shimamish Mika Amcha Kisrol. This is a farmer. This farm is his livelihood. He's not picking the fruits this year, and he's letting people pick it back. Hefker. So some farmers have a deal called Utzabezin. The most Esrogim dealers are going to do it this way, because first of all they can. Not everyone can afford to not and also the Esrogim are there. They're going to stay there. They have to harvest them anyway. So there's something called Oitzabez, that they're not making any money off it.
The Bezin makes.
The Bezin is just charging you administrative costs. They do send down a mashgiach, and they do pay for the cartons and for the shipments. You're not paying for the esrog. They'll have the Bezin will set a price, whatever it is. Let's say 50 shekel a box, and that's Oitzabez. So I'm not sure what the svod is, but it brings from Abelsky that the once it's an oitzer bezdin, it's already it's like hefke. It was like you took it out like the Ramban. It's like the farmer already took it out. The bezdin already, it's like hefke. That's it. It's already considered mavur min ha'olam.
Can't bring it out
like the Ramban.
Bring it out to show.
Again, we said already. That's not the shaila that this woman has. She didn't bring it out of Eretz Yisrael. So
Essentially, that's what he's doing for Bezdin.
Right. So he said that Abelsky Paskin, that if you got it through a box that is Oysa Bezdin, so it's already hefker, and we pass on the Ramban. So from all these things together, I would say that there's no reason to really throw it out. You can rely on all these big poskim, but give out the jelly as soon as possible. And give it out maybe in taka smaller amounts, that they should not more than gimel sudas per family, but they have to know that it's good, because they can't throw it like this in the garbage. They have to know that if they're not gonna. So first, you're allowed to. Everything has to be in the way of normal. You're allowed to, if you have a pot, you're allowed to. They say better not to use it within the first 24 hours to cook something else. You don't have to kosher it. It's not like there's no treif. And you can wash out the pot. And same thing if you get the plastic jar. You don't have to eat it and like lick your finger and like every last drop. Whatever's normal way of eating. So in affluent countries, maybe a person is going to leave a lot of jam, a little ketchup or mustard or jam in the bottom and just throw out the thing. That you're not allowed to do with peiros, shmita. You can't say, drop a ketchup in the bottom, drop a mustard, or drop a jam. Who cares? Can't say that. You have to finish it, but you don't have to go with your finger and lick every drop. You could eat it. But anyway, the bottom line is, so this family has to put on a sticker if they're going to give out or tell the people that this is shmita. Therefore, people should eat it with the kedusha shmita. And when they finish it, and if they can't finish it, if they want to be machman, say that Chamishas B'Shvat is the last time, so they can leave it out in a warm space. And once it's spoiled, then they wrap it up and they can throw it out.
What about rove? Since it's already a jelly?
So rove will help to bring it down from a deraisa to a derabbanan. It doesn't help. It doesn't help to take away the kedusha shmita altogether. Not only that,
It's a davar chashav?
no, because not only that. We go when there's a tam. We go with the tam.
We say rove, so why wouldn't we say that by?
We don't go with rov. We go with tam, which is 60.
Okay, so by the
We go
by
with tam, which is
jelly,
60. So there was no 60 against.
So if it wasn't,
And now the kedusha shmita spread. And without the kedusha shmita is now on everything. If it's not bottled, the kedusha shmita spread on everything.
But with the sugar, all that sugar
Doesn't
could
matter.
be- No.
It's hard to imagine that there was 60 against. It's very hard to imagine. Okay, let's look very, very fast. Another two shadows. It's already. I just want to read something that someone asked that to do something with last week. I'll just read it quickly. It's interesting. It's Negei and Hilchah Shabbos. Never mind the question. Just what the Alter Rebbe says. If a person wants to take on Shabbos and put a fruit in his mouth and squeeze it, like you do with oranges, like wedges of oranges, for example, what's the din? There is those that are mat. Alter Rebbe is explaining because it's ein derech schita. That's not the way. Schita means you put in a blender, you put in a juicer. The derech of regular schita is not to put in your mouth to squeeze it. Yeshem shafa became awesome with the seifrim. Kamoisha also linik bepiv min abhema. Af bishma farak lach yadu. Kamoisha is barbe some shemchav. V'gam yesh lochush lichiv chatas kishema einzam nikra befarak lach yadu. Tuma yonik mabhema l'pi shalinik ushini gomer shein derech klal linik elalachlav. Av metzitas peiris ein shini kolkach kirigim molasses kelam. So the Alter Rebbe is saying two reasons for the oisif. Number one, there's a general gzeira that they said. There was a belief that there was for medicine for certain disease that people what they would do is that there was a pretty not so pleasant remedy, but you would have to go under a cow and go and suck from the dad of the cow the milk. You can brechen before you get there.
Times of the Gemara.
Yeah, this was a regular remedy. It's mentioned here, there, and everywhere.
Wow.
It sounds like a pretty regular remedy. So you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos, even though that's not the regular way of milking a cow. So, but Chachamim said we're going to make it also. So here it's similar to that. So maybe this is part of the same Gzeira, maybe not. We're not sure. But another thing is, what are you telling me it's not the derech to juice oranges that way? A Tropicana is not going to make oranges by having a couple of Mexicans squeezing it, spitting it out. But to be at you in our house, we sometimes, instead of drinking the juice, we enjoy cutting the orange and squeezing it in our mouth. So what are you telling me? Yeah, so what are you telling me? It's a pleasure. So what are you telling me? Ein derech schita bekach? Maybe it is derech schita and it's a chiv chatos. Never mind. Viele Perichis losen dem Seifrim. Also limts gemezet von Amshloi Chilka kommen mit Zerosam, wo dem benoisen Pas bejain oi Bosse bemarch. Also limts es als ab bishein isa bis chitosen. Elam de Seifrim kemoi she yizboer. I mean, today it's not so much. The old timers, if you remember, they had problem with teeth. They didn't have like now that they put in the, it's that dentures. So they used to do a lot. They used to dip the challah, for example, in the grape juice or wine, and then they used to shmochke, because it was easier for them. So it's a problem on Shabbos. It's a problem. The minig is to be mekel. But the person that's machmir, tovel bracha. Kol makem, the short paid is puts mezeisim vanovim yesh lahakol. Any fruits besides zeisim vanovim could be mekel. Ki yesh tzad lahakol b'metzitzis paid is v'loim meshederech echlos and kachu. There is a tzad to say that this is not called derech shtia. This is called derech achila. And therefore the altar is going to be mekel. I'm not going to ask any shilas. I'm going to straight to what my pshat is over here. La nius daiti.
Spitting out the fruit, or he's keeping this man?
He's going to keep the juice and he's going to spit out the thing. So la nius daiti is like this: that the Alter Rebbe is machadash over here, a chidush, and this is based on something we spoke about last week on Sunday. That's why I'm bringing it up. The question is, we said that the Rogatchover has a whole pilpul about this. When moitzitz, when you squeeze something in your mouth and you spit out, is that called achila or that's called shtia? So in the beginning when he brings them up, they're all assuming it's called shtia. The shaila is if that's the derech schita, it's not the derech schita, and there was a machloikis. Alter Rebbe is coming with a new chidush. He's saying, I'm going to come with a new chidush. Maybe it's machlal not schita. What schita means, you took a juice out of a food. But if we consider that when you put an orange in your mouth, you squeeze it and then you spit it out, that's really called achila. Like that tzad, that other tzad, which we said in the Rogatchover, that's called oichel, achila. You're allowed to eat on Shabbos, chamitzvah to eat on Shabbos. So there's no problem. That's the chidush that the Alter Rebbe is bringing to the table. But the whole machloikis was derech, not the derech, because they all thought that moitzes is keshoisa. So you're taking liquid out of food. Shaila is it that the derech, not the derech. But I'm going to come with a chidush saying that maybe this is machal called achila, therefore I'm going to be mekel. Where am I going to be mekel? Everywhere, but not zeisim vanovim, because zeisim vanovim, that's a deraisa shal. I'm going to be mekel b'derabon. I'm going to be mekel b'deraisa. The Alter Rebbe is not making it clear what he's holding legabe bread. It's mashma that he holds over there lechumra. He says, "Amachmer afilu b'pasal basar tovel obroch. Homokem b'shor peiris yesh lot." Why is he being mekel by everything besides zeisim vanovim? Zeisim vanovim is an issue of minatoira. Why is he also being machmer by pasal basar? So I think the pshat again is very simple, because what's talking about pasal basar? I have this ragla, and I enjoy eating it dunked into the coffee. So the ragla is oichel, the coffee is mashke. Now I'm going to dip the ragla in the coffee, so there's really mashke in this oichel. You can't tell me alumdus that moitzes ka'oichel, moitzes keshoisa, maybe this is not juice. It is juice. What do you mean? I see a ragla and I see coffee. Shaila is that's the derech schita, not the derech schita. So tovel broch if you to be machmer. But legabe peiris, which are not zeisim vanovim, there is a svara to say that that's not called shetiya, that's called achila. So because of this svara, and anyway, juicing these fruits are only the rabbanon, the Alter Rebbe says, you know what? I'll let you be bakel, but by anything else, I want you to be machmer. So therefore, lamaisa, what the Alter Rebbe holds, zeisam vanovim, don't dare put into your mouth to squeeze on Shabbos, because it's a shayla of achiv chatas. Bread and any other food that you dip into liquid, don't put into your mouth to squeeze, because also there's a shayla. Derech, not the derech, don't do it. Tovel broch if you don't do it. But if you want to do it with oranges or any other fruits, you're allowed to do it. I think this pshat is emes v'yatzav enochim. If you look in the words Alter Rebbe, I think it flows very well. This week,
don't we say that the mashke is like shomur inside and is like separated?
Yeah, the Rogatchover goes back and forth, but the bottom line is he proves that there's two tzedadim. You could say that it's the Gemara mifket pocket, not mifket pocket. It's a shaila. It's a shaila. And every fruit, do we say when you squeeze it in your mouth, it's considered oichel or shois?
By the ruggle and coffee, isn't one the ruggle, the ikar and the the little.
Yeah, we're not talking about bichas and nenim. We're talking about moitzitz, which is one of which is soichet, which is one of the lamatas malachas and Shabbos. We're not talking about the bracha right now. We're
I
talking
didn't
about.
think the bracha, but it's the ikar is the ochel. The
But you
ochel
squeezed
should
it now.
dominate.
If I took it with my hand and I squeezed it, that would probably be a chiyuv chatas. If I did it
But
with my
in the-
hand. The shaila is now that I did it in my mouth.
But in the Beis Hamikdash, they didn't soich it like that to use in the Beis Hamikdash. That's for sure was not part of
As
the
Eisim
halacha.
Vainovim, they squeezed. That was one of the lamatas malachas.
In the mouth.
They squeezed Eisim
But-
to get oil, and they squeezed Anovim to get wine.
But nobody did
That's-
it in the mouth. It's
Huh?
like mamash, but nobody did it like that. Okay, so let me get for the menorah.
No, so that's why it's a
they seem
shaila.
I'll
It's
do it in my
darker, not
mouth.
darker. But still, it's a shaila with a chiyuv chatas. Putting in your mouth and squeezing it. The Alter Rebbe brings, and I wanted to tell you why I'm bringing this last halacha. It's this week's parsha. I came into a store and I said to someone, "Oh, you would like to come to us for Shabbos meal? Yeah, I'll give you my number." He says the balabais over here is crazy. He makes that everyone has to put their cell phones in a locker before they start to work. So I can't take your number. So I was thinking, Taka, is this balabais crazy or not crazy? Because you hear from two sides. I hear there is people that tell me that they're employers, and they said that no one's doing any work. They're sitting and playing games on their phone. So the employers are saying that the employees are playing games on the phone, and the employees are saying that the employees are crazy. So Taka Gutta Shaila Apiyadin, what would Torah say about this? So let me read quickly. This is really a Rambam. The Alter Rebbe brings it in the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah.
If you speak in the phone, he's stealing from the balabai. He takes the ishtar.
Right.
Saying him not to speak in
You
the
did
phone.
your job, so they gave you something to do. You finished your work, right? You worked on 5 minutes and you're doing 2 hours. You're too smart. And instead of 2 hours, you did it in 5 minutes. What else are you going to do?
Ask
So
the
it's like,
boss for more work. Ask the boss for more work.
Right, and the same like it's fine.
So I don't want to deal with all that's dodim with the Shaila because we're late, and maybe another week. I just want to read a nice piece in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch and a beautiful lesson and avodas Hashem that the Rebbe has about this. כדרך שבעל הבית מוזר שלא לסגזר שכר העוני ולא לאחרו, כך העוני מוזר שלא יבטל מלאכת בעל הבית ויבטל מעט כאן ומעט כאן. That the worker is not allowed to steal a little bit of the time here and a little bit there. Moitze kol hayom b'mirma l'chayv l'daktik alatzim b'zman shekpitach chama u'brocha revius shebich zamazon shelo yivorch ois hapoel mishum bittul malachta shebal habayis. We see that okay, we don't keep that b'zman hazeh, but in the original Tamashas they said that a worker only does brich samazon until b'nei berachim v'shleim amen, and that's it, not to waste from his time that he has to work. Chen chayav lavet b'kol koichet sheli Yaakov atzadik omar ke b'kol koichet v'atis avichem, which is this week's parsha. He told to Rachel and Leah the b'kol koichet v'atis avichem. Pikach notel schor arbei l'mazeh sheno arif it's ish. Moed lefikach in apel rashe lasas malacha b'layla haskatz b'yem chinon rashe lasas malacha b'mehem te b'layla haskira b'yem in apel rashe laharib v'sagevatz me shnei machlish koich v'leuch las malacha b'labayis b'koich chinon malamet tzarich l'nize b'chol zeh can also lisnir b'layla l'yosem medai malamet. He has to eat well, he has to exercise well, otherwise he can't teach. Also lisnir b'layla l'yosem medai, he can't be up all night. They should otzel b'yem b'lemudei can also laharbis b'maychel, he can't eat too much. Yes, too much. You get a stomachache from all the chant. Metamza shamaychel maybe ashina va'atzlu va'atzela. Also le'lasem b'shemalocha cheres im alimut. Chena Moshe chavir b'chanus ask malacha chanus ne'she'ein alachums. I don't want to go into the details because if you're working for Uncle Sam or you're working for Uncle David, is a very big difference. What's expected? I just want a general thing. Okay. The Rebbe has a beautiful word about this. Why are we learning it that a person has to work b'kol koiche from Yaakov? Now the Rebbe has a whole chakira, which not today is the time, about this halacha. Is it a chelik? Is it an actual chelik of his malacha, or it's a hider mitzvah? The Rebbe says mashmal. The Rebbe it's not stam a hider mitzvah. In other words, it's not only that I have to by time that if I made a commitment to work for 8 hours, I have to work actually for 8 hours, not 7. But also b'kol koiche. In the 8 hours, I have to work b'kol koiche. And as we see, the Alter Rebbe tight shtuis. Even before, you have to make sure to be well fed and not to overeat and to sleep. And Befrat Malamed was teaching Torah to children. And the Rebbe says that a few nekudas. Number one, because when neshama is in heaven, it also learns Torah and it serves Hashem Avaviyira. But that's not called malachas balabayas. Reb Tarfon says hayom kotzer, b'malacha meruba, b'hapoel matzayin, b'balabayas doichik, and the Eibishter plays, and the Eibishter is pays the malachas. It says v'nemahu bal malachtecha shishalnu schar pula zacha. The Eibishter is going to pay pula. So we see only hayom kotzer. When you're called a worker from the Eibishter, only in the short day when you're in the body in this, when you're in heaven, you're not called a worker. Why? Because that's malacha shaloi. That's your own malacha. It's your own pleasure. You're learning Torah in heaven. You're enjoying Avaviyira. That's not malachas balabayas. Only when Hayom Kotzer, in that short day that you get, that your neshama is in the body, that's when you're called, you're doing malachas balabayas. The Eibishter, that's the only time you're doing malachas balabayas. And therefore, a person might think to himself, when I'm learning Torah in this world, I should put in my whole koiches and yigia, and I should sweat. When I daven, I should put in my whole aviyira. But when I'm doing in b'chol darchei chadei or b'chol masech l'shem shamayim, so I don't have to put in my whole koiches. So therefore, is the lesson from Yaakov Avinu that also when he was in the place of Choron by Lavan, and even when you tell me that the Tzoyin Lavan had big kavanas, but he really dealt with tzoyin, they were physical tzoyin, and he dealt with them with the kavanas, but he dealt with tzoyin lava, and he brought the big kavanas there, but he brought tzoyin lava. So we know from here a lesson that we're doing malachas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we have to do the whole koyach. We have to put our whole koyach into it. There's no trying to cut corners. We have to put in our entire koyach. And it's a shocking process. I finished reading this and I look up, there was something I picked up the other day. I picked up a magazine because I was at the Kinos of Shluchim. I picked up a magazine and there was an article I wanted to read from Good Chaver, Rabbi Pearl. Who doesn't know Rabbi Anshel Pearl? I should have, all the 15 years, I never brought him here to Fabringen. And he asked me a few times a favor and I gave a shir in his Chabad house. So he owes me one noch. So Bli Neder, I'm gonna ask Rabbi Pearl to come here. He's a person ashlofnish by Togem Banach. So at first I looked at the picture, said, "Oh, this is a couple of years ago. It's the same person, by the way."
Oh, really? No.
This is a lawyer that the shliach is working on this guy Bekol Koiche. He tells in the article, he said, "This is the lawyer is telling the story. The shliach's son had a birthday. He said, what can I do for you for a birthday present?" So the kid says, if you come every Shabbos morning, that would be such a pleasure. We have you in shul. So bisach, come in shul, give enough room a yid, and give oxen aboard. As you can see, look. Honest, where does he look better? Tell me honestly, where does he look better? And he tells me, I just want to read to you 3 lines. He says here, he says he was at it, he works, so he's a criminal lawyer. So he says he tries now to work with his clients. He says a client calls him up. He says, the first thing, say with Mishma Yisrael. Say a kapitel Tehillim, talk to the Rabbanu Shalom. You'll see there'll be miracles. Anyway,
Wow.
so he says there was the Rebbe's positivity inspired me. So he says like this: they were at a session, and then the judge said that he's giving a deadline for this case. So he says he stood up and he said the Lubavitcher Rebbe didn't like negative terms like deadline. The Rebbe encouraged us to speak positively and prefers the positive term of due date. The judge says I have high respect for the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I agree. So we will use the term due date, and everyone agrees that from now on they'll use they'll use the term due date.
Wow.
So you see, it's Bekol Koichi. You see, the shliach is a guy that does Bekol Koichi. He does stunts. He does all kinds of stunts. He has a thing that he does in television. He does a telethon. Bekol Koichi, if he has to go on a balloon as up in the air, or if it means he does all kinds of stunts. His chidush is he does all kinds of stunts, and you know what? He gets through to a lot of people. He works Bekol Koichi. So that's what we have to do. We have to know that not only when we're learning Torah and Avodas Tefillah, that everything that we're doing, L'Shem Shamayim, has to be with Kol Koichi. Maybe Shtaka should give us the schar, the ultimate schar of Bias Mashiach Tzedkenu.
Very sweet.
Yeah, Miniola. Shliach in Miniola, Long Island. Yeah.
I've seen him on his Kollel.
You saw it? I never seen it. It was nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I get up in the morning.
Yeah, now it's on probably on
I start saying,
in LA also has a Kollel.
Rishon, Rishon says that, are you allowed to say brachas before the opinion on top?
You'd have more than five, but David,
Good question.
you have Hollywood
Both-
celebrities.
But you slept already, right?
Yeah, I read
I don't
I have to
know.
look one more time. I mean,
He's been doing it many years.
if you slept, most of the
Funny thing
brachas
is,
you can already say.
Deutsch
It's hard to
celebrities
imagine what you can
I
say.
admire.
Let's second
Bob.
bring out the
I admire
look
Bob.
together.
What you did